conceals itself in order to bring out the godly light at the worldly level. But then one must not be a fool and see only the worldly light rather than the godliness that it reveals. And this is where the darkness is. You ready?
Yeah. Could I ask a question?
Sure.
We speak lately about communion in the last shiur, and it's related to Makkah, in contrast to Makkah. But there's also communion in contrast to hatzimzum. What is the difference between the Makkah and the hatzimzum?
Chitzonius is but an apparition. In other words, it only appears for what it shows. It is not real. Let's make Chitzonius. Makif is very, very real. Except that its reality is of such intensity, such purity, that it cannot be recognized on a practical and a tangible level. And in order to be able to relate to Makif, one has to relate to the source of the Makif. What is the Makif revealed? What is it talking about? Like we always say that there is a Motzoi Rishon. If there is a meaning to the world, and we could see there's a meaning to the world, but that meaning becomes solid, becomes real only if you recognize that there is a Motzoi Rishon where that Makif comes from, that the Makif represents. Without that, you lose sense of it, and it loses its sense of reality. But Makif is even more real in a real sense than even Pnimi. But for the world, Pnimi is when it becomes realized. But the real source, the real force behind the Pnimi is the Makif. Like we are saying, the Rotzon is what activates everything. This is the vitality for everything. Even for Sechel itself. What is the difference between a human action and a robotic action? Anybody?
Robotic action is just the action. Human action it's coming from an inside, from higher sources.
From the will.
Yes. I've said a lot of times that the difference between an animal and a child, that he's developing much later before it went through a cycle.
That's right. I don't want to deviate from where we are. These are all things which are really of such enormous context, enormous significance and richness. So you cannot really spend too much time on it. I just want to mention one little thing, one major thing. We spoke about this already. Talk about the muscle of the cup. A person puts it out, or you see a cup standing out. What we observe and what Sechel relates to is not the intangible and rather the tangible and the coarse presence of the world. Sechel has cannot relate to it. If it relates to it, it's being imposed upon it. Sechel relates to the will that it represents. It wants to be. The world is alive and wants to be, and that's what Sechel recognizes. That's what Sechel understands. When you understand a human being, a child, whatever you understand, the will that it is that he is exhibiting. You understand it in a contained manner, in a pneumistic manner. But it's the will that you identify. Without the will, it's not real. Like we say, robotic action is not an action. If a robot put this cup down, it would be incorrect to say the robot put it down.
They want to program the robot. But
I'm sorry?
They want to program the robot.
It ended up over here. There's no relationship whatsoever. All right, gentlemen, we'll start 4 lines from the bottom on page Nun Zayin.
The robot would be the gas and the other host. You say that the person did it. And what's wrong to a robot?
Right. Robot acts actually apparently independent. It was programmed and then it acts. Gazim b'yachitzev is clearly that it's the yad hachitzev that does it. Everybody knows what gazim b'yachitzev is? An axe in the hand of the viewer.
Sure. Is that what he said? I'm sorry.
What?
That the robot was programmed. Whoever was behind the robot put it there.
Yeah.
How didn't just get there? It's like someone doing something against their will. Threat of death or something.
Right. Okay, 4 lines from the bottom. וזהו מה שהוער אינסוף שלפני הצמצום הוא בבחינת סבל ומעקב בכל ההשתלשלות. וזהו means, and this is the meaning, and this is the intent when we say that the Oyer Insof Shelifnei HaTzimtzum is bivchinas, serves as Sevel Makif V'Kol HaYishtalshelus. The Makif for the Hishtalshelus. Please understand again, these are things which cannot be overstated because we are in this quote-unquote dark world. Makif Nicholas Hishtalshelus means it provides for Hishtalshelus a context, a meaning, a force of a will. Not it is just someplace at a distance. Just like in our marshal, a home, a house provides makif for your table. The table is a table. But what gives a table a sense of presence? It is the fact that it is in a room, in a house. What gives the enclosed ishtalshelus a sense of presence?
As opposed to makif.
Hmm?
As opposed to makif.
That is the makif.
What is?
Is the makif for closed ishtalshelus.
It says lifnah seder shtalshlus. So, but somehow from within seder shtalshlus, there's some sense of that makif, or that's the or in the world.
Well, this is the order in the world, but this is not something that can be imbued with pnimius. But this is the real makif l'kol ha'ishtalshelus.
Right. So it's not pnimius, but somehow it provides a context. It somehow provides some degree of.
It provides it b'makif.
Okay.
This cannot come b'pnimius.
Yes.
It can never come b'pnimius. Through the hatzimzum it comes. The as we explained, oiri soif shel lifnei hatzimzum. In the Seder Hishtalshelus, I want to give us a little sense of what these words mean, and what the Rebbe says, Klolus ho'er hashayim laboligila. In Seder Hishtalshelus, Hishtalshelus means there is a chaining of events. Which means that everything, no matter what explanation you provide for a certain phenomenon, for a certain presence, that explanation itself needs a further explanation. What about it? Where did that come from? And I'll go straight to the top. When we say, where does the world come from? And we say, God created it. So the first question is, why did God create it? It doesn't answer the phenomenon of the world existence. It's an action. Why was there such an action? This infinite cycle, like it says, "Goveo mi'al goveo shomer." The higher you go, then you have to go to even a higher source to explain this phenomenon. The ultimate, where the buck stops, so to speak, is the Oren Shef Shel Lifnei Hatzimzum. That is a full-fledged godly reality. It's only oir, it's only a gilui, but it's a gilui of Ein Sof. And that does not beg for an explanation. Why is there a will in this oil? Because it's the reality itself. This is what we say. The oil in social lifnei hatzimzum. This is the Surya Makim calls it Stalsus Mehakav, Mereish Kol Dagin, Atzev Kol Dagin, from the top to the bottom.
Again, there's no question by Or Ein Sof Shelifnei Hatzimtzum because
it's not a functioning presence. It's not a presence that came as a result of an act. The first day of creation, it says that there was darkness. So when that was an act to bring light into the world.
It's like a presence without action. So
so there is a significance, there's a meaning to that oil. This is what was created. Oil of Shelifnei Hatzimtzum is not a creation. It represents and reflects this, which the Rambam says, this is the truth itself. The oil of the truth itself.
and this has a shaykhus to Seder Shtalshus.
Excuse me?
And it has a shaykhus to, it has some relevance to Seder Shtalshus that follows.
The relevance of Seder Shtalshus is what you said. This provides the klolus. Klolus Hishtalshus. Klolus Hishtalshus is not Hishtalshus per se. The overall presence. The fact that there is such thing as a presence. It has no pnimi definitions.
But don't we say that the kav is rooted in the Shelifnei Hatzimtzum?
Right. This is
panimi. The kav is the panimi of.
Yeah, but Shelifnei Hatzimtzum has it on a makif level. That's what I say. In the makif is behel.
But everything that's going to come after that, everything that comes, the whole Seder Ishtalshlus is basically. Is it true to say that it's drawing from
yes.
It's revealing that which is included, so to speak, in the
option if Hatzimtzum, except it reveals it only as a result of the tzimtzum, because directly from the option if Hatzimtzum there cannot be that kind of revelation.
That's correct in any makif. In other words, even the Rav and the Talmud, when the makif, he has to sort of conceal his whole brightness in order to be able to give over to the Talmud on a pneumistic level.
Yes, that's true. That's in order to relate to the Talmud at his level. But the principle itself that he is giving, he can identify. It's true that in every makif there is this makif. But in terms of tzimtzum, this is Shulei B'Erech. They're going to say there is a tzimtzum, a total tzimtzum. There's a difference between saying, okay, let's start from scratch, or I want to explain to you such and such. I want to start from the beginning. Well, I don't know what I'm going to explain to you. That's tzimtzum.
It's a very strong concealment.
Hainu.
I mean, if that's the case, it's such a strong concealment, how is there ever any gilvei? I mean, like, imagine the Rav said, I don't even know what I'm going to explain to you. What's going to be coming after that?
Then he goes back to himself. And he says, Okay, what do I know? What am I? What do I stand for? How do I formulate this in a presentable manner? But then when he thinks in terms of what do I stand for, it is to begin with in light of, in order to produce it. It's like looking at himself from outside.
That means that the Gilui is going to be very, very deep.
Sorry?
The Gilui is going to be very deep.
The Gil is very deep, but also very contained. That's why it's called a kav. The principle of kav, I mentioned times, hatzimzum is Ein Sof. Wherever you touch it, it's Ein Sof. This is a kav. This is given piecemeal.
So with the tzimtzum of the Ein Sof, there was nothing that existed before. It's not drawing on anything.
It's drawing from the Ein Sof Shulchan Hatzimzum.
Yeah, but it's not basic. What comes after has never been before, to contrast with the Rav and the Talmud.
In the Rav and Talmud also there is a concealment, but the concealment that is in the Tzimtzum is a much more total concealment. And although what comes out is also that which was contained in the Ein Sof Shulchan Hatzimzum. Please understand, or try to understand, but there's no way to hit the nail on the head. Try to understand the difference between something that is contained because this is the reality, or something that's contained because a statement was made, an action was taken.
What's the nimshal? Sorry. Which one is the symptom?
In the intent to teach, for example, that's like an action. And in that intent, everything is contained, but that has a definitive action, and everything is contained in it. But it is therein because of this action. It is not, say, lifnah hatzimzum means it is because it is. The whole phenomenon of action has to first start after that. Now that we've spent all that time, so let me just add one more notch. Perhaps we'll be able to latch on a little bit better. There's an interesting thing the Mishnah says, the Alter Rebbe brings down in Tanya. Al korchoch atochai. You ever heard these words? So we say, Al korchoch atochai. I want to live with Al korchoch. We must live. We don't realize that this want to live is something that is given to us. This is not our produce. We do not have our own will to live. Everything by us is a limited thing. You have to have a reason. Why do you want to live? What's behind that? It's a godly presence, a godly gift. Al korchoch hatachai. The real life is al korchoch. This is why to be recipient of that life, there is a necessity, the Singapore's Kabbalah soil, of accepting the reality. If you're going to try to understand everything like the idiots, you're going to cancel out life. The world cannot create life. Life comes from the source of life. No matter how grand a structure you give, they will not give life to you like you should want it. Nothing. Won't do anything. Like we're saying, the obvious thing. Give me the Empire State Building as a personal way. Oh, I'm giving you the whole world. I don't want it. I don't have the will for it. I don't have the life for it. If the will for worldly possession, worldly experience comes from the world, so the Empire State Building should be the greatest enticement. Okay.
And Kabbalah's all is the
means by which you receive it. You say, yeah, it's not mine. It's not my doing.
Hmm.
Okay, this is it for this morning.
okay.
Yeah.